everybody, and welcome back to Eating with Intention. We have taken a very long break from this and we are excited to be back. We have had a little one, started a farm over the last year, and just decided to kind of step away and breathe for a little while. But we are back and we have some very big goals set this year. We have decided to try to get all of our debt paid off by the end of the year, and sometimes that means that things get a little tighter in other areas of our life financially. So if that is you, if you are on a journey to paying off debt, or you are just on a tight budget in your home in general, then I'm so happy that you're here, and I really want you to follow along with us over this year, over the next months, until we can get some debt paid off, because that means our grocery budget is a little bit tighter, and we are having to learn how to make healthy dinners on a tight budget. In this video, I'm going to show you guys a few different dinner ideas that you can feed your whole family. We have a family of 5, so these are things that feed us. They are healthy, they are delicious, and we made them all on a really tight budget. So here we go. Okay guys, the first recipe we are going to make is called Sourdough Skillet, and I will link the recipe in the description box below. But first we're just going to heat some oil in a pan on about medium high. I use olive oil, but you can use avocado oil, coconut oil, whatever you want to do, whatever you like. And now I'm just going to chop up an onion, just dice it finely and saute it in that hot oil. And one thing I want to note is that you guys might notice that what I'm doing here in the video and what is in the recipe is a little bit different, but this is such a versatile recipe. You can mix and match things however you want, so that's why it looks like that. Now I'm just going to chop up a sweet potato and add in there and saute that with the onions as well. Now I'm going to cook these sweet potatoes until they are almost all the way soft and cooked through. They are going to finish their cooking and when we put this entire skillet in the oven later on. Again, this recipe is one of my favorites and a staple in our home because it's so versatile and you can put anything in it. The recipe calls for ground beef. We had pulled pork on hand already cooked up in the fridge. So I just used some of that, chopped it up roughly, and then added it into the skillet just to warm it and mix all those flavors together. And then I had a bag of frozen corn in the freezer. Sometimes I'll add frozen peas or frozen broccoli or anything like that. This time we just used frozen corn. And then I also had 1 can of the green beans left in the pantry, so I just threw that in as well because it needed to be used up. And then I just added some salt and pepper. So now we're going to move on to make the topping, and this is what makes this recipe the sourdough skillet. That's you! Are you all supposed to be doing something with Daddy?
Yeah.
Are you doing it? What are you doing? Oh, thanks, honey. While dinner's in the oven, so as soon as you guys are done with chores, okay? Now you're going to combine a 1.5 cups of fed sourdough starter. The recipe calls for fed starter. I typically just pull my starter right out of the fridge and use it, and it works great every time. And then you're going to add 3 eggs, a teaspoon of salt, and the recipe calls for a teaspoon of basil. I don't have any fresh herbs on hand, so I use dried parsley, but my recommendation is if you have fresh herbs, add as many as you want or you can. Rosemary, basil, parsley, cilantro is really good. Anything that you have, it just really enhances the flavor. Next, you're gonna add 3 tablespoons of melted butter. I've also used coconut oil here and it works great. And then 2 teaspoons of baking powder. Mix up all of those ingredients until it's nice and well combined. It'll be like a creamy texture, kind of like pancake batter. Now go ahead and preheat your oven to 400 degrees, and then you're gonna pour that entire mixture over all of the ingredients that are in your hot skillet already. And then you're gonna top it with cheese. The recipe calls for 1.5 cups of cheese. I just kind of sprinkle until I'm happy with it. Okay, keep in mind guys, this entire skillet is about to go in the oven, but your skillet is gonna be hot if you're using cast iron because it's been on the stovetop. If you notice, I just fried my hand and had to grab a towel. I don't know what I was thinking. But go ahead and put it in your oven for 25 minutes. And then when the timer goes off, you should be all ready to go. It should be kind of browned on top. At this point, you can also put extra cheese on top if you want that really melty kind of texture to it. I've done that before, but this time we just kind of left it as it was. And then I served it with a side of spinach, and there you go. So this might be kind of cliche, but a staple in our house is just your good old classic spaghetti. So I just started with 2 pounds of ground beef, and I put that in a hot cast iron skillet. And now I am chopping up an onion finely, and I'm just gonna saute that in with the ground beef. And you can season this with whatever your family likes. Tonight we had salt, pepper, and I put in some crushed red pepper. Next, you're gonna bring a large pot of water to a boil. Now you can use any large pot you have. I just love cooking in my Dutch oven. And don't mind the pink basket in the sink. My kids are in charge of gathering the eggs, and that's what they like to use to get the eggs from the chickens. So I will admit that the spaghetti sauce aisle in the grocery store is a bit overwhelming. There are so many different kinds of sauce to choose from. There's some that are really highly priced, but because we are so focused on paying off our debt, we decided to go with the canned Hunt's version, and it still comes out so good. So after your meat and your onions are all cooked and brown, you're just gonna add 2 cans of that sauce into the skillet. Stir it around, and then your sauce is ready to go. So now I am chopping up some spinach because we like to just add some fresh greens to really any dish that we can. It's another way we make classic comfort dishes like this just a little bit healthier, is just add some greens. I did also stir in some grated Parmesan cheese into the sauce. It just made it kind of thick and just added a little bit more flavor. Now our family loves to use angel hair pasta for spaghetti, so I just cooked the noodles according to the package, and then Earl had to help me take over because I had the baby, and we just drain the pasta and I leave it in the sink to cool off for a minute. Meanwhile, I melt half a stick of butter in the hot pan that I was just using, and then I add in some olive oil as well. And then I just toss all of those noodles back into the pan, give it a good toss, make sure all the noodles are coated in the butter and the oil, and it just adds a little extra flavor. And sometimes our kiddos like to have the spaghetti sauce, sometimes they don't. Tonight they just wanted olive oil, balsamic vinegar, Parmesan cheese, and a little bit of spinach. I also like to put spinach in the bottom of my bowl, and it just really adds some volume to a comforting pasta dish while also making it healthier. On this night, we decided to fire up the grill and grill some steaks. I do want to mention that we have all of our steak processed on our own. We raise our meat, so that is an added benefit and really helps our grocery budget quite a bit. And I just seasoned these steaks with salt and pepper. I put it on both sides and then just kind of rubbed it in a little bit just to make sure it was on there really, really good. Another staple that we have in our house is just a pot of beans. We do this once or twice a week at least. And you can buy the Great Value brand at Walmart. That's what we do. It's really inexpensive, maybe $1, if that. Don't quote me on that. So I start by rinsing them because sometimes there's a little rock or something in them. And then I cook these in the Instant Pot. So I just added 2 pounds of dried beans, I didn't soak them, with 8 cups of water. And then I just add whatever seasonings we have on hand. Tonight we did minced onion, some chili powder, and some black pepper. And then I make sure not to salt these beans until after they are cooked. If you salt them before, they come out kind of crunchy. Give it a good stir and cook it on your Instant Pot or your Ninja Foodie, which is what we use. High pressure cook it for 30 minutes, and then you're gonna slow release it for 15 minutes. Potatoes are another staple that we have in our house. You can get like a 5 or 10 pound bag of potatoes for very minimal cost. So I'm just dicing up some potatoes and I'm gonna cook them in the cast iron skillet until they're nice and crispy. I use coconut oil for this, and I keep it on like a medium-high heat for the entire time. The trick is to put your potatoes in and let them cook. Don't touch them at all. Let one side cook before you try to mix them all up. Next, I just chopped up whatever vegetables I had in the fridge. In this case, it was spinach, a carrot, and some cucumbers, and made a nice little salad to go along with everything. Are all done. You can just stir them up nicely, and a touch that I add that really takes them to the next level is some brown sugar. I probably put about 1/4 to 1/2 cup of brown sugar in them and then stir them up. Also, don't forget to salt them after they're cooked. All right guys, that is all for now. I hope this gave you some inspiration and some ideas on meals that you can make for your family when you're in a pinch or when you have a financial goal and you have to cut back on your grocery bill a little bit. But that's all for now. We'll see you next time.